everyone, and welcome to Our Ventura. I'm Sandra Siepak. Thank you for joining us today. Our guest today on the show is Patrick Davidson, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Ventura. The organization does wonderful things for the kids here, and we would like to talk a little bit more about it and share some of the information that the club does for all the kids here in the community. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
We would like to maybe talk a little bit about what the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Ventura does for some of the children coming in as younger kids as well as up to teenage years. I think there's a good flow of age range, and I think there's so many kids that benefit so greatly from your organization. We would like to hear what you have to say.
Sure, well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
Good.
Yeah, the age range, round numbers, is 6 to 18.
Okay.
But the target is primary, elementary, and middle school. Mm-hmm. It varies from club to club. We actually have 5 sites in the Greater Ventura area, all the way from Oakview around to Satakoy, mm-hmm. and there's 3 in the city. And the needs vary, and that's the beauty of the whole program, because we try to tailor what we do to the needs of the children on an individual basis, on a group basis. We also connect very directly with the schools, and that's something I think mm-hmm. is that most people don't understand. I tend to say that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon there's a handoff. There's a baton pass from the school to our clubs. Okay. And so we integrate directly with the curriculum that they're doing. We try to help with their homework, and we enrich that educational experience in the clubs. Many people think we're just after-school daycare and fun and games, but there's actually much more structure mm-hmm. and much more learning and enrichment that goes on.
Yeah. Can you give us an idea of some of the activities that
Sure.
the kids can partake in and participate in?
Sure. In many cases, they are things that, unfortunately, the schools and the teachers don't have the time for. Mm-hmm. There's a whole different shift in education. We have robust art programs. We have robust, sports and activity programs, and we have the most important thing that I say to people is the programs are great, and we have a whole series of things for youth development, Spark Girls programs, and Passport to Manhood. These are things that scale as the child grows. That mm-hmm. they might be focusing on one thing as they're 6, 7, and 8, and get into other things like bullying and relationships and so mm-hmm. on in middle school into high school. Because we realize that their needs change, their worlds change, and we want to be there to help
Absolutely,
them.
And I think the important thing is people should realize, and parents especially, being a mother, I think you do realize this, that when your child is involved in activities such as these, and can start early in their childhood, it really does make a difference later on as they approach teenage years, going into high school and college later on. I think it really sets the bar high for bringing a child's self-esteem, confidence, the I can do that attitude. And I think your organization really is responsible for that. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. And we do that. And one of the ways we do that is we look for ways for children to succeed and be stars and feel good about themselves mm-hmm. in a different environment. Okay. There are 2 models for the Boys and Girls Club. One is you bring the Boys and Girls Club to the school for an after-school program. The other is you bring the children to the club. We are the children to the club model. Mm-hmm. And I really like that mm-hmm. because we get to break some of those dynamics that are happening in the school with a child. They get a fresh start every day after school. Mm-hmm. They get a new group of friends. Mm-hmm. And the most important relationship is the relationship between that child and the young people who work with them. Our staff members are extraordinary. And they get to know them. And they get to know this one's really into art, and this one's really into a science project. Yes. We're always looking at things that we can bring in to enrich their lives. Right. And we have hundreds, if not thousands, of children that have been through the program mm-hmm. that will say this is their second home. Mm-hmm. This is where they go. This is where their friends are. This is where, for many of them at that time, it might be middle school, it might be later elementary. Mm-hmm. It's somebody they can talk to. Mm-hmm. It's not a parent. It's not a teacher, but we'll listen, we'll right. empathize, we'll understand, and it gives them a safe place to go.
And it is a safe place. It's a great place to go after school. Mm-hmm. And even during the summer you have programs. Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Can you tell us a little bit about, what you have coming up for summer months?
Yeah.
And now that the kids can go in the summer months, some of the activities they can take part in.
Yeah, the great thing about the summer months is we have more time. Because typically during the school year, we're there from 3 or 2 to 6 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And we break them into hour activities, and they're constantly rotating because we don't want anybody sitting around getting bored. By the same token, there might be some art project or some science project or some game or some activity, and you just get going, and now at the end of the day. Well, in the summer,
Right.
it's not the case. I mean, we basically set up a whole series of Olympics activities. We're playing with all kinds of games and activities throughout the day.
Okay.
But again, there's always a basis of enrichment, both academic and personal, that they grow in that experience. So yeah, some of the things that are going on in the summer, the field trips. I was just signing off on field trips today. They're going all over the county. They're going into Los Angeles. They're going in to see things. They're going, I mean, name it. They go to the beach. They go to Griffith Park. They go to, we take them on enriching experiences. And as we all know, having been on those things, the best time is riding in the van back and forth, right? Talking.
It is. I mean, they get a lot of experience just, riding on the freeway and seeing what's out there.
Well, and getting there and sharing that experience and
Right.
coming back and telling what happened. I've had the fortunate that I get to go and meet with the parents. I have meetings in the clubs, and
Sure.
it seems obvious, but sometimes they don't do it. And I'd say, come in and tell me what we're doing, how we're doing,
Right.
how can we do a better job. And I had a parent tell me a great story about driving their kid home after school, being at the club, and they were telling about some science project they did. And the mother said, well, it sounds like you had a really good day at school. And she says, no, Mom, that wasn't at school, that was at the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, nice. See,
Yeah.
that's a real compliment to all of you and your staff. I think that really matters, because when you hear stories like that, you know you're doing something right. You know you're getting to these kids. You're getting to them in the right way.
This parent is a teacher, and
Okay.
this has been a lifeline for them. And talk about a comment that just warms your heart. She said, after having my child there for a year, if our circumstances were different and we actually had the time and we could have them at home after school, I don't know that I would, because I realize how
Right.
much they're getting at the club.
Right.
That says a lot.
And they do learn a lot. I mean,
Oh,
they
yeah.
pick up things and they learn from other people, and they can be with other people. Like you said, they're not just their school friends. Now they have another set of friends, a whole new set of friends that they can learn from and be with and just, get along with.
And the other
I
thing
think
is,
that makes a difference.
it does, and we hear a lot about teamwork and all that. In this case, it may be teamwork in sports, but it's also teamwork in doing community projects,
Right.
in giving back. All these children want to do something that helps others.
Right.
We often, admittedly, our mission is to work with the children who need us the most, and many of those are very disadvantaged economically.
Okay.
But the reality is, they want to do things to give back.
Right.
You do a penny drive, and these kids are all over it, and they're bringing in coins to help fix up their own club, or to help some other child at a school. And we foster all of that. We want them to see out beyond their little universe.
Which brings us to the important point, fundraising and money, and getting the funds to the organization for the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Ventura. I think that makes a big difference. So you want to find out about helping. And if there are people out there, corporations, anybody out there that wants to help, tell us some of the fundraising activities that you do.
Well, the first thing that people need to understand, because I think there's a misperception, and I understand why, many people think we're funded by the national organization.
Right.
They see Denzel Washington, they see Ron Howard, or these people, and say, oh, they must be raising a bunch of money. That funds a national organization. We, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Ventura, are funded entirely locally.
Okay.
So all of the funding comes from here. So it might be corporations, it might be businesses. Many individuals, year after year after year, provide us funds. We also do get some government money for after-school enrichment programs. But the way the numbers work, it's about a $1.4, $1.5 million budget, which sounds like a lot until you lay it out and realize we're working with 500 to 600 children a day, and over an entire year it might be 2,000 kids.
Okay.
We provide them snacks, we provide them lunches, and to, as you say, enrich their lives. Summer, there's all kinds of things going on. There's all kinds of wonderful things going on.
So
and
do parents, if they want to bring their children to the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Ventura, do they pay a fee?
They do
And
pay a
does it
fee.
vary, or by family or children, or how does that work?
There is a very minimal fee to be a member of the club, and that covers the school year, and that's $50 a year.
That's very good.
And so that would be the entire school year. They can come to the club from whenever school's out to 6 o'clock at night, 5 days a
Okay.
week. Now, but that said, if that's a hardship for parents,
Okay.
we'll come up with a scholarship. We'll figure out a way to get it paid for. In the summer, there are weekly fees that might be $20 or $30, or in some cases $50. But again, they are there from 8 in the morning till 6 at night. You know, do the math, do the numbers, and
Absolutely, that's a wonderful thing.
It is
Plus, it's an enrichment program that they can learn from for the rest of their lives. They're given tools to learn from for the rest of their lives. I mean, that's a pretty
we like to say that, and anybody who wants to know more, you know, you give us a call, go to the website. bgclubventura.org.
Okay.
And the phone number is 805-641-5585. I should throw that in there.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is we do events. We have basically 4 major fundraising events a year. We have
These are annual events.
These are annual events. Okay. We do one in the first quarter, which is a breakfast where you come and we kind of lay out the year and you can meet the kids. The second one, we just had a garden party, which was really fun at the Pierpont.
Okay.
We have a golf tournament, and then the big event at the end, the big annual event at the end of the year is a gala, which this year will be at the Marriott, and that's where we really celebrate the people who have supported us, and the kids perform. It is one fun night because you really get to see. You know, you don't expect to see a group of kids coming out performing and singing. Or in this case, I think we're going to have a kid walk across the stage juggling. He's one of the great success stories. This gentleman's...
Which brings me to ask you, I'm sure you've seen quite a few success stories. You give these children a chance. Many of them go on to very successful careers. They go on to do many different things in their lives. And if it wasn't for what you and your staff have done for them, who knows what would happen. So you've kind of given them that entryway into a better life.
We do. I believe we do. And the bar, it varies. We have college graduates, we have all kinds of things. But to me, it's all about being a good citizen.
It is.
Coming back and contributing back to this community. One of the great things about Ventura is the roots and the depth and the pride in this community. It's tremendous. And you meet second and third and fourth generation people that grew up in Ventura and want to stay here. And we have club members. We have a whole alumni associate. We're developing all of these people to come back and do the enrichment and give back to the programs. And so this happens to be our 75th anniversary of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Ventura. We've been serving this community for 75 years.
That's incredible.
And later this year, we will have an alumni gathering of all the people going back. We were just talking about it, and we hit upon the idea, you know, we should do it like the high school, the class of and the class of and the class of. So you see all these people, and that will again bring people.
And where they've gone in their lives.
Where they've gone.
And maybe people that they remember from when they were younger too. 2
of our major benefactors, Bell Sheeler is an extraordinary benefactor. He was a club kid.
Oh, really?
We have member after member after member who were club kids. We are building a recording studio on the west side, and we needed to have somebody come in and do air conditioning. We got a hold of somebody who had a business in Ventura. He walked in the building and says, I remember this place. I used to play basketball here.
Now that's great.
And we showed him the facility. He says, we can do this. We can make this happen. So we can. And
somebody coming back and giving back after they've been giving such a great opportunity. What an incredible thing.
And the great thing is when you connect them with the kids.
Right.
Then they say, oh, I could do that. I can be that. I can be there. And it's not. College is great. College, you know, meets a lot of needs. But it's also that professional skill, that blue collar, that person who's making a living with their hands. So many of our kids, that's where they're at, and we want to give them the skill set to get there.
It must make you so proud to talk about so many wonderful kids who have gone through the program.
That's the greatest job going.
It is.
It is. I mean, every day, you know, we're constantly struggling for funds. There's no question. Every nonprofit is, and because we want to do more. You know, unfortunately, as we have 600 kids, we have a waiting list at every club because we don't have enough funds to hire staff. The ratio is we have 1 staff person to 20 kids. So every time I can raise enough money to hire another staff person, I get 20 more kids.
We need to change that.
We need to change that.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us today on the program. We need another show with you to tell us more about the kids.
My pleasure.
Okay?
Thank you.
Good. Thank you all for joining us today in Our Ventura. We look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Sandra Siepak. Bye. Have a great day.